This week on Not Just Another Sex Podcast.
I had been blaming myself for something that I was a victim in for years, and I didn't realize it until the other day. It was like, yes, you play a part in certain things, but also you realize you have a victim stance in some of this, right? And because we're so strong, or because we're always trying to, oh, it's my job to keep everybody safe and things like that, you internalize these things. And so for me, I realized I needed to understand that something was not my fault, and that actually this other person owes you an apology as well.
Yes.
After realizing that,
yes.
The next day I got calls and opportunities that I would not have taken because the guilty me would have thought that this isn't the best option for me.
Hey, sugar. I feel like there are so many different things that I need to learn as an adult. I'm this nasty on a regular day, like on a Tuesday. I am your host, Samaya Burton, and don't worry, it's not just another sex podcast. Welcome back to Not Just Another Sex Podcast. My name is Samaya, and I'm your host for today. And we have an amazing episode lined up for you. But first, we are going to get into some of these reviews. Thank you guys so much for leaving them. This one comes from I Don't Speak African. I heard that. It says, a true gem. I have always been such a big fan of your work since Sexual Essentials, before I invested in myself enough to take my pleasure seriously. I have to say that everything has its time, and now that my self-love has grown, this podcast has been a great companion in learning more about myself in so many ways, sexually and or otherwise. Your energy is beautiful, and the guests you bring add to your vibe with ease and mesh so well with your purpose. You are truly doing great work, and I pray that you feel that your teachings are of immense value. Thank you for what you do. Oh, thank you. She said she don't speak African. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. I cannot stress this enough. I read the reviews. I need them. I'm a person like everybody else, and this is my job, and I be telling my business and mistakes and all that vulnerable stuff to you guys. So on those days where you have imposter syndrome, or you're feeling like a little bit of embarrassment or shame from something that you have to share for your job, having these reviews is just really important for me, to know that I ain't just telling my business for nothing. It's helping somebody. So thank you guys so much. Please don't forget to rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to it, as well as make sure you check out these visuals, because I have a gorgeous guest for you guys today. Say hey to the folks, Leaira.
Hi.
I have Leaira from Leaira Studios. Am I saying it correctly, please?
Yes,
I did?
Yes.
Okay, yay. Yes. Please introduce yourself to the folks. Tell them who you are and what it is that you do.
Yes, I am Leaira. I am the owner of Leaira Wellness, which is our holistic wellness company. I am also a studio owner of Leaira Studios, and I am the creator of the #1 twerk fitness program in the world, Twerk Tabata.
I had them asses jumping during
Period.
COVID, okay? Look here, you cannot, there has not been one girl in Atlanta that is like, why are they on the ground doing like this? And where do you learn how to do it? Because I want to do it too.
Listen.
And everybody's just always like, you got to go to Twerk Tabata. You got to go to Twerk Tabata. I didn't know your name for the longest. I was like, you talking about Twerk Tabata?
A lot of people don't.
The twerk girl,
Yes.
right? That one? Okay, yeah.
That one.
For the longest, I still have not even made it to a course, but I did meet you and get to go to some yoga classes because we were both at the Unruly Retreat.
Yes, you did.
So shout out to Sheila for bringing the dope girls together.
Shout out to my girl, Sheila.
Yes. So we finally were able to connect there. So I'm just so glad to be able to do this episode with you. We talked about so much on that trip, and we were like,
in a short amount of time.
In a short amount of time, yes. I think I was there for like a day.
Yes.
Maybe like 2 days. But it was amazing. But today we are going to walk through this episode. And you guys, she is here for more than just shaking ass today. So I'm excited for us to get into these topics.
Let's get into it.
Okay. Hey, guys, I've been getting asked, are you going to do a Black Friday deal? Honestly, I have no idea. But I do think I have some news that just might suffice. If you guys haven't noticed, we have been updating all of our Sexual Essentials content, including our masterclasses. So for the last time, the 3 masterclasses that have sold over 10,000 copies is available now in one bundle. Yes, that's the Mouth Masterclass, the Dick Riding 101, and the Masturbation and Squirting class. All 3 of those are available in one course now for $100. If you didn't know, each of those classes is normally $100 a piece. So make sure that you take advantage of this because it's for a limited time only, because these classes are being taken offline. All right, enjoy, and back to the show. All right, so we start off with the adult tip of the day. The adult tip of the day is because, like, you look up and next thing you know, you're the grown up in the room. Like, people are expecting you to be the responsible one. If they have a question, they're asking you. You know how to do CPR. Like, are we ready for these things, right? And so the adult tip of the day sometimes can be like a my therapist says, or like, oh, here's a adult hack, or even just something that you need to remember, or a way of thinking, but like in like 5 minutes, so that way we can just, adulting is a lot sometimes, so we just take one little thing and put it out there for today. So today's adult tip of the day is brought to us by Moon Soul Child, and it says solitude in doses until it no longer feels like loneliness. And I think that's an amazing quote. I'm going to say it again. Solitude in doses until it no longer feels like loneliness. And I think for me, that really resonates with me. I know that a lot of the time that I've been single, and I think some of the times that I've gotten back into being single, there was like some resistance on my end because, you know, when things change, they're uncomfortable for a little bit.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And even when you're in a great relationship, like if your partner goes out of town for a week or it's just something you're not used to, sometimes that loneliness can be very confusing because you're like, I am happy, so why do I feel lonely?
Right,
You know?
right.
So I really do love this, though, just solitude in doses until it no longer feels like loneliness. Like,
I love that. I love that quote because I actually spent a lot of time in solitude.
really?
I spent a lot of time. And it's so interesting because when I get around groups of people, they just have this expectation like, I'm that outgoing girl, I'm that party girl, I'm going to get it going. Like, and which I am, but like I have so many like different, I'm very multifaceted.
For
so
sure.
I have different sides of me. And so it's like, you're going to get this side and you got to get this side as well. But a lot of people meet me and be like, oh my gosh, she is like very quiet. And it's like, no, I'm not really quiet. I'm just observant. Like, and I spend a lot of time with myself. So I'm always in like study mode without voluntarily being in study mode because it's just something that I always spend a lot of time with self. So I like that. And a lot of people get that misconfused. Like loneliness, solitude, and stillness are three completely different things. And
I
so
love that.
you can
Okay,
be
you
in
gonna have to
solitude,
tell us.
but you can't be
Tell us.
still. Seriously, like people can
Don't
be in
read
solitude.
me. This is my show, and we're not gonna do that.
Like,
because I be in solitude all the time,
But
baby,
you ain't
I did-
still. The mind is not still. The body is not still. You're itching. You're moving. Like I did a 7-day silent retreat, and that opened me up. Yes, Vipassana. I did a 7-day Vipassana silent
Nobody said anything?
retreat. Nobody said nothing.
That's crazy. Did you get anxiety at all? Like, does it come up and like then you have to handle it,
You
or
know
is it
what?
like?
When I first, because I didn't know, like, I didn't have anybody too much in my circle that really explained to me what this experience was about. I kind of like, someone told me, and then I kind of just like, I'm going for it. I was
Really?
at that point in my life, and I didn't have a lot of people around me to tell me about their personal experiences with it. So I kind of like was reading online, but not too much because I always like to just go in without having like anybody else's expectations or experiences about that type of journey because I was embarking on my own journey. So I went on to this retreat, and I was like, "What you mean we can't have our phones?"
Oh, silent.
Silent.
That
no
sounds
phones.
beautiful, though.
It was amazing.
That sounds beautiful.
So like if you never heard of it, like definitely do that because it teaches you like he's like sit there in lotus pose, and then when you feel those sensations and itches, you can't touch it, you can't scratch it, you just gotta sit with it. It's an amazing
That sound like
experience.
torture. What you mean I can't get you when I scratch? What do you mean I can't scratch when I
No. Because like a lot of times we're overstimulated.
No, you are
and
absolutely
like,
right.
It really
Yeah.
teaches you like to be in control of your mind and your body in a whole nother way. So yeah. I
Okay,
love
so that
quote.
was stillness.
That was stillness and
Okay.
silence. Yes.
Stillness and silence.
Because it's not really solitude. I mean, I guess from the outside world, because the people that was there was selected to be there. So we were all in a group setting, but we were silent.
That sounds powerful. Solitude. I definitely think I'm in a space where I'm more so in solitude, and that's definitely, of course, me switching into production is a part of that. So now I'm very, very stingy about like spending time with anybody else, like anybody else even being in the room, period, because I'm with people all day.
Right.
So, and I love it when I'm with them, but I think that it's my responsibility to make sure that I get that alone time so that way I can really be there with that person when I'm with them. Like being present is a huge thing for me.
Yes.
I know that stillness is important, but I think that in 2023, I might have started in 2022, but definitely 2023, I was very focused on being present because it was like if I was going to take more things under my belt and put more things on my plate, it shouldn't be at the expense of my friend. Like, yes, I don't get to see my friends as often or like have the same relationships, but when I show up, they know that I can hear them. It's not me like working and like, no, when you talk to me, I will let you know, hey, I'm not here right now. Let me get back to you as soon as I step back in. Like, I'm not there, and I want to hear what you're saying because it matters to me.
Right. I love that. I love that.
I'm really big on that one, but I'm going to take that into... And see, this is why I like the adult tip of the day. Little 5 minutes I learned about this. You got to send me this retreat. We got to...
I will.
I'm going to start off with like a day.
Listen,
I'm going to start off with like a day.
I've accumulated my best recipes from that retreat. Some of my best recipes I've came up with was from that retreat. Amazing. All plant-based. No soy, no wheat, no processed food, no nothing.
No weed. Why you gotta do that?
Because they be doing something with the wheat. So everything was like, they have a garden. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
Well, see, we're going to have to have a whole holistic episode. Yeah. But we got to talk about the other stuff today. So we're going to move on to Twitter Talk. Twitter Talk is to pay homage to Black Twitter because... Black Twitter is always going to be a thing, even though Twitter ain't even called Twitter no more. It's really just like showing love to the culture. Okay. You know, the culture, which is no matter what, if Black people get a hold of it, if it's been laying under a rock and we ain't gonna know, they're gonna be like, nah, did y'all know? If it's some tips like, oh, this is a hack, or just making something ridiculously funny that's you're not supposed to be laughing at, and all kind of things. So Twitter Talk today is about, and this is where like the more controversial topics come in.
Okay.
She's looking at me like, what you got for me? Right. It's not shade room, but just a little more controversial.
Okay, because I'm not on Twitter, so.
No. It's just any type of controversial topic. So today's topic is going to be where people talk about if you do certain things on the internet, then you ain't never gonna get a man. You ain't never gonna get married. You hear I got on my messy voice? This is my messy voice. You ain't never gonna get a man's. Or you doing this just for attention and things like that. And I thought this was a great one to talk to you about because you've been shaking ass on the internet since I knew who you was, right? Yeah. And it hasn't stopped. And then I also saw when the world found out you were like, oh, I gotta take off this week, I'm getting married. And it was like, bitch, what? You getting married? Like, on top of the fact that, right, shout out to the Buddha sitting out here watching his girl. Yeah, he had to stop and fix her collar early. It was real cute. We here for the support. But I think that that's a great topic because a lot of people don't even realize the way that we're contributing to like the misogyny of the fact that what women do is not always for the male gaze.
No.
And even if it is, that's her choice.
Right. That's her business.
That's her business. That's her business.
Yes.
But it's not always even just men. Sometimes it's the women that's saying the exact same thing. And so I would love to get like your take on that because I know there are a lot of women that don't want to do certain things. And don't get me wrong, like when it comes to content, everybody is not meant to make the same piece of content. Right. Like I'm not, just because I could take your class don't mean I'm about to start posting all this ass shaking stuff. That's not in my purpose. It really don't align with me, right?
I get it.
Do cameras. That's not my thing. But in the same sense, there are a lot of people that might not want to take a class or they resist certain classes like that when that's really what they need.
Yes,
you know what I mean? They really need to unlock, their womb and things like that. But all they see is like ass shaking, and so it's like it has this negative connotation. So I want to know how you feel about it.
Whew. So when I first started my brand in 2018, Twerk Tabata, like this was the first time that anyone really seen a Black woman really step into it on a whole nother level. So like, trust me, we've seen twerk since the beginning of the time, right?
For sure.
But to see someone of a tall stature, someone that has a physique, someone that is Black, an African American woman, but yet she has a way with her where it's not deemed as like I want to say it, but like trashy or like slutty or like anything like that. So when I came up on the scene, though, however, I still got scrutinized because I was doing it in a way where I demanded attention. So when I started, I got so much ridicule when I started this brand. And it's so interesting to see it fast forward now to everybody is doing it. And a lot of people are like following the path that I've led. And so it's interesting because when I started, I absolutely love it. I've been dancing since I was like 10 years old.
So, you tell them about your background. You were telling me like you've always danced like professional, then yoga and
yes. So not you listening, I do listen. But yeah, so I actually started dancing when I was 10, and I have always, from what I've noticed. I always had like the adults telling me like, oh, she got a little shape on her, she got a little body on her. And it's like, and I would move in ways as like a little girl, but then like I was just being free. I was just being me. And so like I grew, I started to hone in and really develop my talent. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's when it hit me at 10 years old. I can dance. And I was like, it's a natural gift. Like, people was like, how you split? I'm splitting everywhere. I'm doing jumping jacks. Like, I'm doing cartwheels. I'm just like a natural free spirited, and I'm embodying that through dance. And so my path started when I was 10, and then I went into professionally dancing for like arts programs. I went to college, and my minor was in performing arts. So like I actually studied and danced professionally. Martin, from jazz, ballet, oh my God, liturgical dance, hip hop.
I don't even know that one was even a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing. So like I'm so well versed in the arts, and and twerking wasn't like a thing coming up. So, well, in the arts.
Here,
right. So, but me being from Atlanta, honey.
A real ATL.
Real A-town down. I actually was teaching in a local gym, and I was teaching dance cardio. But then they was like, baby, the way you in here throwing it, it's like, you need to be teaching somebody how to do this. And I'm like, let me go teach the girls. And it took off, baby.
Because the girls was on the ground, honey.
Listen.
Asses like this.
Listen.
Because at 10 years old, I knew I could not dance. We were having two different revelations. I was like, you're a chair mover.
Oh, my gosh.
You're a chair mover.
Listen, it came with a lot. It came with a lot of backlash.
I feel like it's crazy that it's so disrespectful to sexualize someone's craft, their purpose, and more so than anything, it's usually always rooted in a level of ignorance, which is we don't know. We don't know that person. And what does it matter if they are doing it for attention of some sort or they like their body? The point is like, I think that we don't realize that whatever judgment you have, it says more about you.
Absolutely.
And I know that I've been there before. I know that everybody tries to act like we just all pro woman, this is this. No, a lot of misogyny is like pushed through by other women on other women, and it's not on purpose. But once you figure out you're doing it or you're judging that girl and she ain't did shit to you, you don't know her, you have to check yourself and ask, like, where is that coming from and what is it rooted in? And the truth is baby, if you ask her, she'll teach you. Like, you don't have to hate on her. Like, you want to do it.
Right.
You want to shake
secretly
that
at home saving every video. Like, oh my gosh, listening. And they have it now where you can rewind that thing back.
Oh, on the reel.
Yes, baby. Trust me. They just saving it. Okay. So like we're playing it over and over again. I literally get messages in my inbox like I'm learning by you posting. Like in my secretly though. Like these are the women that's not in my comments. They're like secretly inboxing me like I want to do that.
I think it's just so crazy that people think that like, oh, you can't get a man if you're doing this and that and whatever. And
that's false.
It absolutely is. Because you are in a whole,
that thing
marriage and everything.
Right.
But
and that thing when it comes to that, it's just like, and I get a lot of, so I go viral a lot. And my content goes viral, and it be the man in the comments like, see, that's why black women ain't got no man. And I'm just like, whole time, my man said 1 year.
hold on, babe, fix it. Hold on, I'm trying to fix it for you.
I'm like, what is you talking about? It be so wrong. You don't even know people that post online. And again, I don't like to say job. It's my passion. Like, I live, I breathe this. So when I present myself online, it's not for anybody else but for me, because dance freed me up. Like, on a whole nother level. It's healing for me. So when I express myself through dance, it's healing for me. Yeah. So when I present it online, to them it looks like, oh my gosh, like, that's so Virgo, like, she's doing too much. And it's just like, baby, my hips are just loose. Yours are tight. And that's why you uptight. Go ahead and loosen some things up.
What's this one? The womb, the which chakra is this one?
Which one?
From here, when people like be having trouble like with their orgasms and just like moving that energy.
That's the sacral. That's the sexuality one. That's the one.
We're gonna talk about the yoga class that you gave us there. So when I first and we've clearly transitioned into the topics now. Sorry.
Yeah.
I guess I also want to know from a protective standpoint, have you always been protective of your relationships, and what made you what helps you decide what to post and what not? And I always ask anybody this that has a following period, because I know that it's something that I've battled with in my own personal journey. So just like hearing from you guys, like, what makes you decide what's for you to share and what's not? I know for me, I've learned that if it's not for a reason, you know, like, I kind of just don't do anything at all. Like, what's my purpose for sharing this? You know what I mean? And not like I got nobody to share right now, guys. It's just me. But but my life has changed substantially since I was last in a relationship compared to like what the next time will be. So I'm still in my mind preparing. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I feel about this? What is my viewpoint on it before I get with someone? Because a lot of times we don't know how we feel about a certain, how do I want to show this online, or how do I want to do that before we get with someone? We get with someone and then all of our ideas and our thoughts mesh, which can be beautiful in a certain instance, but sometimes it's like, no, what was your thought on this?
Right.
And then what's their thoughts, so that way y'all can find a compromise, because otherwise you end up kind of just losing yourself unintentionally. Yes. But
oh my gosh. So for me, it has always been about just sharing my art, sharing myself. And I was in a position in my past where I had to like really monitor what I'm posting, what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, how I'm showing up,
like,
what I'm looking like.
Because of a relationship? Oh.
So it's just like, no.
I was like that in my marriage. Woo. I didn't even do, Sexual Essentials didn't even do the things that
it did when you was in that relationship.
Yeah. When I tell you that next year after the divorce was the first year that I found out that the company was, it was $1 million company. And so it was just like, you've been over here trying to like be chill, but whoever you are, your intention and the reason that you are, like, mind you, I'm doing, mouth master classes and dick riding classes and stuff like that online, and like really helping people, and people saying like, yo, you saved my marriage, or like, I never even had an orgasm before you did that for me. And I'm not doing my best. I'm not putting my best foot forward, because I'm really trying to make sure that my forever person isn't judging me, and not even realizing what that sound like, even saying it to myself right now, like there's a tiny bit of shame. Like, I can be honest about that. Like, cause it's just like, and you know better, but it's just like, well, when he met me, that's not what I was doing. This is who I was, and things like that. And so we don't even realize the way that like we're not sticking up for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? When we're talking about like what we're doing. It can cost
you literally everything.
It literally can. Like, there was definitely a class, and I had a video, and I remember asking him, I was like, hey, are you okay if I post this video? Mind you, I wasn't doing anything. My work has always been closed. And he was like, I'm not really okay with that. Mind you, I posted that class later, and like the video later, and it got so many sales. It got people going to, selling out the tours. Like that was the secret sauce, like showing people what's going on in the class, So
that's interesting, because I want to mention this, because I'm so glad that I'm able to learn and grow from that, and actually being able to serve my purpose with someone that aligns with that vision. Because my sensual class, we in lingerie.
Yeah.
And
I saw that red. I'm gonna need that little red thing, that red piece.
I got you.
I'm gonna need the red.
And so a lot of people don't know is that my husband came up with this idea.
I heard that.
Yes. So it's like they don't even know, like, we always building. And so like we mesh so well and we complement each other so well. And he's like, I want you to know and understand and overstand that be you.
Yeah.
Like don't let me stop you from being you. And I love that because I'm able to fully be present and not have to look over my shoulder and worry about, oh my gosh, if I do it this way, like, will he be okay? Knowing that I got you across the board. Yeah. Just do you, be free. Of course, we have our boundaries. Of course, like it's
the boundaries are there
respect.
regardless.
Yes.
That's not
so. It's something that is already said. So I'm moving accordingly, and everything is just like coming into place. And so when we came up with this idea, I was like, yo, let's do it. The idea matched with my visualization and my art, created a video that took off. And I'm talking about class sold out after sold out after sold out after sold out, doing something in the market that in Atlanta that a lot of people don't know of. And so that took off. And not knowing that behind this brilliant idea, it's a man that's standing behind it like, offer up these women the space for this. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. And a lot of people don't know that. That's what I'm saying. Like when you have a really strong partner that is secure.
It was the look at the camera for me.
That's secure. You move differently, but only you two will understand that. Yeah. It's not for everybody else. But as soon as we put anything out into the world, it's what it needs.
Absolutely. I love that. It's something that I've battled with when it comes to men in the space period. When I say the space, I mean on the internet. Like, I don't know who gave them a pass. Like the creepers, like the respectable ones, we appreciate you.
Yes.
But the creepers, like, I'm one of those people that it's very difficult for me to be okay. Like at home, I'm always naked or whatever, right? I feel comfortable in that. But even in like workout clothes, like it's very difficult for me to go to the grocery store or do certain things because I have so much anxiety about the things I'm not consenting to. Like it's okay if you notice that I got this ass. I mean, yeah, we all notice it. The fact that you're...
Because it's there.
Well, I got that clip earlier. Look at you dragging all that wagon. Is when it's not warranted or you're doing the most with it, you're making me feel uncomfortable. Yes. Like I didn't do this for that. Like this wasn't for the male gaze or anything. This is more comfortable. You ever tried to do yoga in jeans? It doesn't work, you know? And so a lot of what I feel like I even would express maybe or even share more online, I don't, because it's like I don't want that attention. So I guess outside of like your loved one where we know that you're safe, how do you handle or do you even deal with like just feeling like some of these niggas is weird? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, does it ever make you feel uncomfortable? I know that I feel uncomfortable because I have a background with sexual assault and things like that. And so my anxiety it revs up when I don't feel safe, you know?
Right.
And so I just wonder how you navigate that, because I know when I see you in leggings and you know what I'm saying? And it's whatever, like, you know, and I can't tell if it bothers you. So I guess I'm wondering, does it?
It doesn't. It doesn't bother me because, it doesn't bother me because I'm in a very safe, confident space. Like I said, outside of partnership or outside of anything, I'm just so safe and comfortable with me. And I know how I present myself to the world because I do a lot of inner work. Yeah. So I make sure that I'm only in spaces that are conducive to my energy. So I'm never out and I'm not saying that anything can happen at any point in time, but I measure how I choose to exert my energy into different spaces. Yeah. So when I show up, and I can't explain it, but it's like this aura, like I'm just protected, and I can't really explain it. And I'm trying to express it, but in the past, it may have bothered me, and I'm trying to remember because I haven't gave a fuck in a long time.
I heard.
So I'm trying to recall the moment where I did, and it's like even when I'm out in public, somebody like certain dudes don't even approach me in certain kind of way.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so crazy, girl. I ask my videographer, hey, you want to go to the store with me? That's code for I don't want to change my clothes, and I would like a guy to go with me, so that way the other folks stay in line.
Right,
like,
and I get it. I definitely get it. And a lot of women are feeling that. And it's such an interesting space to be in when you can't even go out into the world and just be.
And you can't just be
like,
but it's so many other things to talk about. But I did want to ask you about that.
Yes.
So I do want to talk about also in your classes, there is a very intimate level of connecting with these women, right?
Yes.
And watching them connect with themselves. Yes. And I saw that just from the yoga classes that I took with you. And what can you say about like the women, how they walk into the room and the things they're nervous about and the way that they are with their body, and then also the way that they leave? But more so, what are some self-sabotaging things that maybe that we do that we don't realize when it comes to our body? Because I think that, of course, having a woman that teaches it, you're an expert, you've been in this for a long time. So people probably walk in the room with the level of comparison, and not just for the professor, the teacher, but also for the other women around them. And so it takes time for you to understand that this is a safe place and we nice girls over here. But what can you say like about that, their relationship with self when it comes to like this self-sabotaging and like negative body talk?
Yes, so I open up my classes with intentions. So I declare it, affirmations off the top. When you walk into the space, you know that it's safe, it's sacred. But I declare it upon each and every being in the space so that you can know that. So we start out with affirmations. And then I notice when women walk into the space, they're like, okay. They start looking at each other. I'm like, okay. They start feeling each other. Then I get that a lot. Like, oh, I can't do it like you. I'm like, it's not about doing it like me, okay? It's about doing it in the way that you know best, or how to do it best to your ability. And I noticed that a lot of women comment, and I always say this is the most beautiful part about, I don't even like to call it a class because it's an experience. Yeah. I love seeing how the petals just open up.
Yeah.
I'm like, she's coming there so closed off, apprehensive, like afraid.
In her masculine.
Yes,
like,
masculine. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. And then throughout, I make sure you're safe. We moving. Everything with attention. Yeah. Your breath is flowing. Because I remind you to breathe.
Yes, you do.
I say that throughout. Breathe. Yeah. Breathe. 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 So that you can know that you are not in a fight or flight mode. You are safe here. Your nervous system is calm. And so I let each one know, because a lot of them come through with that. I've torn myself down. Some of them are ready. I'm ready to build myself up. So that's why I show up. There's been women that's been following me for years that has not showed up until today. Yeah. And I'm like, it took you that long, but I get it. So when they arrive, they're ready. Yeah. They're ready. Or at least they're embarking on their journey. And so a lot of women come in, and not to call anybody out, but I noticed this in my class, like, so stiff, they're closed off. They're not even giving themselves an opportunity to move in ways that they haven't. And so what I offer is a space for them to just be. And a lot of women, we tear ourselves down and beat ourselves down so much, and I've seen this time and time again, that by the end of the experience, they know whether or not they showed up at their best. Yeah. And you have to walk away with that. Mm-hmm. And
now you got to come back. Now you're like, when the next class? Right. And they're so ready to come back and do it over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because your first experience is like, oh my gosh, I'm still kind of like, but then that next one is like, and they keep coming back and they keep coming back. And I watch them. I have so many testimony women like, you literally saved me. Yeah. By coming to your class, like, I'm able to do so many things and attract so many. And a lot of them come in with the goal of attracting a partner, and I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. Okay. I'm like, listen, of course this is for you.
But becoming a more confident you is going to attract you. Yes. It's going to attract you in so many ways.
Yes.
It's so crazy because I know y'all probably like, okay, well, where does Leaira fit into, not just another sex podcast? I always bring it home while you're here. Outside of giving this amazing woman her flowers, it's because, you know what I noticed? That when we were on the trip, those women that are in tune with their sexual selves, they always recognize it in other women. I can tell, I can always tell like when a woman has never had an orgasm. I don't know why, but I can tell either you stiff about everything or you grumpy about everything. Like I can tell you ain't about to go home and rub one out. Because I'm not even stressed why, because like either I masturbated before we got here, or I'm about to masturbate when I get home. So it's definitely something that I think that women recognize in each other, and there's a level of confidence that comes with connecting to your sensuality, right?
Yes.
I know that I see that in sex education. I've seen that in the mouth masterclass. I've seen the same things where they will come into the class and then they are and I'm like, you're wasting this moment. Like, you're in your head and no one cares. Like, absolutely no one. I'm not trying to be funny, like, or say like you're being overlooked. I'm saying no one gives like no one came here to judge. No. You came here to judge you. Right. And you don't have to. Like, and it's okay. It's one of those things that I think like is a self-correction thing over time. Just like when you have self-talk, like just because you do affirmations doesn't mean you don't think something negative every now and then. But you know how to recognize and say, that ain't even right. Exactly. Let me rewind and let me say it over again. And I think that that's what we have to learn when we go in these spaces. Sometimes you may never feel completely comfortable because something might not be your quote unquote gift. But just because it's not your gift don't mean that it doesn't bring you happiness. Or like just because it's not your purpose for the world doesn't mean it's not something for you. Right. And a lot of times when it comes to women, like finding who they are, it's always something in their sensuality that sets it off. Yes. Like almost always.
Yes, I agree.
When women get their first orgasm, they change. They stop fucking with the niggas that they used to fuck with after they get their first orgasm. They're like the bar, like everything changes because you like, hold on. I have wrapped my entire life around this type of person or that type of person, and then when you get that first orgasm, you realize none of that shit matter no more. Right. I was thinking about the wrong things. That is so true. But I'm gonna get right. So I want to know, can you tell when women don't breathe? Do you meet women and you can tell, like, because you've already said that you know how to scope out energy. Yes. And I, like, we were big energy people, but that's not my practice. So I want to hear you talk about, like, the things that you notice in people, like, you could tell, like, they're not tapped in with themselves. Like, what are some of the things? And then also the importance of not being in that flight or flight experience and really explaining that to somebody. Because a lot of people will watch the show. They hear us talk about yoga. They hear us talking about moving. They hear us talking about breathing. But yet you gonna still go home. You gonna hold your breath while you masturbate. You gonna not breathe when you first wake up. Like, what is it? Help them understand why this is important and how it's noticeable that they're skipping over this thing in their life.
Right. So I notice by how your posture, first and foremost, me being in movement, like, I know.
Gosh, don't look at me.
No. Because I have to do it too. Sometimes I have to correct my posture. Yeah. And I'm like, I notice it in the posture. Like, and noticing someone's posture says a lot. Body language is a thing. Yeah. And so I noticed that by their posture. Are they hunched over? Are they chilling? Like, how are they presenting themselves in this experience? And so I noticed that by their posture and by their shoulders.
Okay, get my posture together. What I got to do?
So your posture is absolutely good.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I be cheating with this little pillow.
Listen, I got one behind me too. But yes, no, your posture is absolutely good, especially with having, like,
a little girl. Yes. Thank the kid, girl. They came along.
Your posture is speaking. Yes, it's speaking. I'm her. I got confidence.
Okay.
Yes. I love
All right.
it.
So we work on our confidence, on our posture,
on your posture, and your shoulders and your breath. When I'm in class, and especially yoga, and I'm like, listen, I can't hear you.
You do make us breathe out loud.
I can't hear you. Yes. I'm like, I can't hear you. So I know that's when you're like, am I safe here? I'm clenching. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. I haven't felt this before, or I haven't experienced this before. I'm not sure what to feel in this moment. And I have to be that reminder to inhale completely through the nose, expand that belly, exhale through the mouth slowly, release. So that is a complete breath. Our breath is so shallow. we don't even remember. Like, I always notice that how babies, if you notice how babies, they breathe, the belly expands.
They do, the little
and
fat
they're like,
tummies.
yes, and like you can like see them breathing. As we develop through time, we go through life hitting us hard. We go through these traumatic experiences, these traumatic events. And then so our breath becomes very short, very shallow. And I noticed that. I'm like, yep, sis is in that mode.
Yeah.
She's in that mode. And so I had to be a reminder that, one, this is safe. One, that you are good here. You are welcome here. And two, to relax. And that means dropping your shoulders. And I also teach posture when we in the heels classes. Like, keep your chin up. Like, I know life is beating you. I know it has beaten you down. I know that a lot of times it tears and wears on you. But right here in this moment, I'm going to remind you of who you actually are. Yeah. And so, like, those little reminders, and I noticed in class, I'm just a vessel to teach them of ways of how to get out of that by doing breath work, by correcting your posture, by moving. And it's just such a euphoric experience when you actually submerge and surrender. Yeah. Surrender.
I feel that.
And on that retreat, one of the ladies, she commented, she was just like, how are you able to make us cry after we just finished doing this to some sexy R&B music?
Yes. Actually, I want to talk about that because I do want to. So I did the yoga classes. First of all, I loved the yoga class.
Thank you.
I know I be telling y'all to do yoga, but it's one of those things that's so difficult for me to do. Like, because I also want to do it a certain way. Right? You'd be like, oh, I want to be like this before I start. Or I want to look like this, or this the aesthetic. And I know I'm not the only one. Don't get on me. I already know. Don't get on me. I already know. And I think that that's one of the things that we want to do. We want to show up a certain way from jump, and that's not realistic.
No,
and I think that the more that you wait on that, the more you never get to it.
Never.
You know, and I think that what you do is so important for teaching people how to make time now.
Yes.
The time is now. You have time right now.
Yes.
Like literally right now.
Right now.
But going back to their, outside of the yoga class that you do, that was more so for waking up our yonis and like getting that blood flowing. You also teach coochie pop, coochie pump, coochie bang bang class.
You talking about the climax control?
Climax control. That's it.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
Climax control.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what I was talking about, though.
Yes.
You know the coochie one.
Yes.
The coochie one.
We do. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Tell me the purpose of this class. Okay. And for the ladies understanding that if you message me about orgasm, you know the first thing I'm going to tell you, baby, is you breathing? Because your body is going, first of all, your body is greedy. It's going to try to choose between trying to survive and trying to catch that nut. And so it's going to give you this half-ass nut, and then you go afterwards trying to catch your breath. And you don't have to do that, right? But you have this class on climax control, so I was very interested to know, what is this class target? Is it just for self-confidence? Is it to remind you to breathe so that way when you masturbate in, or you on top, like you ain't passing out, like so you can breathe through your orgasm, so you can get that whole thing? Like, do you and your partner a favor? Like, what's the...
All of the above. So yes, climax control is a foreplay experience. So it's a foreplay experience on flow work. So if you are familiar in the dance world, like familiar with like flow work is a thing in itself.
Like flow or floor?
Floor.
Oh, I thought you was like, okay, so flow.
Floor.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Flow work. So, but it's a foreplay class playing on flow work.
Okay.
So we get down on the floor as if it was a bed or
Scrub,
anything. Scrub. So we get down on the floor and actually touch, grope, kiss ourselves, massage ourselves. Yes. So it's about foreplay. So self-confidence, like as you mentioned, self-confidence, but really more so being able to learn your body and how you want to share that with your partner, if that is your goal.
Right.
But first, learning it for self. But it's a foreplay class to show you, like, before you get to it, what you like. Because a lot of women don't experience, like, get right on to it. What
don't
happened
know what
with the
you
foreplay?
like at all. And that's the thing, even when you by yourself, a lot of things you charging up for these men, which is like, oh, why you ain't doing this? Why you doing that? Sis, why you not doing it at all? Because if you were doing it yourself, you really wouldn't be okay with that. And don't get me wrong, ain't nothing wrong with a quickie. Like, we love a good quickie. But I'm talking about when it comes down to all the things, you are probably allowing it to happen that way because you don't really do anything differently at home. So you don't understand that anything is wrong. You're not making the time for pleasure.
Yes.
You're making time for sex.
Yes.
And those are two totally different things.
Exactly.
Do you have any advice to your younger self? Like, she said, how much time we got?
Right.
I want to know what advice you have to your younger self because, and I've been thinking on this a lot lately. If I could go back and I could tell myself like a couple things and it was just like, hey sis, you gonna need to know this, When it comes to yoga, it's one of those things that we don't get on into later in life when it's too late, when something is wrong. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And when it comes to our sensuality and our sexuality, it takes how many relationships and an accident and someone forcing us to come to a class before we discover or try something new. Like, what is your advice to your younger self? Because we don't want to figure out breathing later in life. Like, when you don't breathe, you're not giving your body enough oxygen. Like, your organs need oxygen.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
like, we don't even realize how we're stalled because we can't see the problem. We don't address it.
Right.
You know?
So we got to go through.
We do. We have to go through way more than what we're supposed to. It's like these 30s are beautiful. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. The 30s are beautiful because you're so aware. Yes. Right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of self-correcting. Right? But I guess I'm wondering, what do we say to the younger girls to say, look, sugar, this is where you need to start. Like, if there's anything you can do right now for yourself, at the end of the day, do what you want to do. But we both know that you're going to be back here in your 30s and you're going to be like, sis was right. Breathe, yoga, like things like that. But what is your advice?
Oh my gosh. So, my advice to my younger self, would be that you are enough. You are enough. You are enough. You are enough. And I say that because, my childhood was shaped differently. Mine was shaped around everyone around me telling me everything that wasn't necessarily true. And I don't know how everybody else's childhood experience was, but mine was more so wrapped around, I'm one of them children that just knew.
You have a feeling. Intuition.
I was always spiritually in tuned. So I started reading like Zen books. Listen, I would go online and order books. Listen, nigga. I would go online and like order books. I would read these sex novels and I would read these spiritual books when I was like 13, 14, 15, ordering online. Because I was working, so I had my own credit card, my own card and everything. So I would go online and make these purchases. And I'm like, wow, like I was always in tune. But then everything around me in my childhood shows how everything wasn't in alignment with my spiritual journey.
Or you're not supposed to be there because you're a child or your age or because you're a girl
and I'm
or
like,
a lady.
I was evolving spiritually way before everybody around me was. So to my younger self, I would be like, no. And when you're young, you're like, how do I know me though? Like, how do I know me?
Yeah.
And I had to learn. So me going to purchase books, me going to, sit in solitude. I've been practicing mindfulness and stillness for a very long time. And me going to dance or outside dancing in the neighborhood. Like, all of these things were to bring me to the point of that everything around you is not what you think it is. And know that you have everything within you.
Yeah.
You are enough.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, I know I be having 1,000 lessons because I be trying to go back and tell myself, now, bitch, don't do that.
Right.
But I think when it comes to breathing, I would say that breathe for self-care is the first step in just telling yourself that you love yourself. Yes. And I say that because once you start your day, your entire day is around everybody else and doing for everybody else, and you're going to forget. Or you're not going to feel like it. And all of those things are valid. And so your routine is so important. Yes. I think that
absolutely
depending on what aspect, like you could say like, okay, if it's something to do type of advice or something don't do advice, it's so many different ways. But I'm going to go with routine. I'm going to say your routine matters more than you think it does. And I say that because that's where you make time for the things that matter.
Yes.
Because one thing that we respect is our calendar, right? So if you say I'm going to breathe 5 minutes once my alarm goes off in bed by myself and then get up, you at least did that. And no matter what, you started your day at least equal, right? Like there's balance. Right. At least you started the day like that. But sometimes we're starting our day off in a deficit. You know, we're thinking about yesterday. And the thing is that if you think the exact same thoughts from yesterday and you don't ever clear it, then how are you changing? You're the exact same person as yesterday if you had the exact same thoughts as yesterday.
Exactly.
So there is no space for growth. You know what I'm saying? Yes, there are some things that you thought about yesterday that you do need to think about today. Right. But if you don't clear your mind with like that mindful minute in the morning, then are you really sure that that's what you're supposed to be thinking about today? Or are you really thinking about yesterday?
And I always say, like, don't carry that into the next day. Stay present. Stay present. Like, why do we tend to carry things on? And we just keep carrying a load. Yeah. And that what goes back to the shoulders. I'm like, relax. Because you're carrying a lot on your shoulders. Like, we tend to carry the load instead of dropping it off and being like, okay, that's over there. Yeah. Let me get back to my smoothie.
We sit right in it.
Let me reset. Let me replenish myself. Like,
and as women, and especially Black women, we hold so much empathy for others that we literally will be depressed inside and you just don't even know it. So that mindful minute is important, but also I would say like routine, because that's where you make time for the solitude. Yes. And not just the stillness, but also the solitude, the time for yourself. And I say do the stuff alone no matter what. If you're happy right now, still do some shit alone. Because I promise you're still going to discover something. Yes. Like, you're going to discover something, and it can't hurt. Not at all. Like, it can't hurt. Like, and it's just so many. I've talked to so many different types of people, and whether it be like a professional or someone in a relationship or someone on their own, every time they rediscover themselves, the person that they turn into, it's just always more of yourself. And just like you said, like, we go through these traumas every single day, and they get us away from where we started from. Like, when you're a baby, your stomach goes all the way out, and then like with every day it goes in more and more and more and more and more. Yes. And so you have no idea where you're supposed to be after 18 years of life and living up under, you know, your parents doing the best that they can and teaching you their ways. But if your parents don't know boundaries, the odds are they probably haven't taught you how to have boundaries. Right. And if they didn't talk about meditating, odds are you probably didn't do it either. Yep. If you never saw your mom go like on a solo trip, like, then odds are you didn't either. Yep. But that doesn't mean that you can't. Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. And so it's one of those things where a lot of people are like, well, I ain't never did that before. Well, most people haven't until they do it. Right. Right. Like, right. But being more...
start now. I love that. I love that with the routine. I love that with routine. I always tell my student, anybody, like, start your day with you. Yeah. First.
And it's Atomic Habits. Like, this, I love that book. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't read through the whole thing. I listen to different points. I get stopped, and you know, because sometimes I am so present that if I know that I'm not really there, I'll go back and reread it. So I end up going back and rereading the same parts over and over. But it's so much to get from that book. But Atomic Habit, atoms are small, meaning the things that make big things. The atomic bomb is big, right? But atoms are small. It's those small little consistent steps that really make you change all of a sudden. And like, I definitely feel that way with affirmations. Like, when people are like, well, how do I get out of that negative self-talk? What if I want to love this body that I'm in? It starts with a tiny thing every day. Like, even just looking in the mirror and say, you know, I do love myself. And take a selfie, take a sexy selfie. Like, that was one of the biggest things. I know it sounds however it sounds, but that was a big thing for me. I used to be in the mirror and take my sexy selfies. Yes. Because then when I go back and look at it, like, it's like, God damn, you really are fine. Right. Like, stop playing.
Yes. Those gentle reminders, right? Like, those gentle reminders, and like you said, being consistent every single day, starting your day, and even if it's just for 5 minutes. Yeah. Like, I don't wake up every day, 30 minutes, hour, meditate. Like, people are like, oh my God, I don't want to meditate. And people shy away from it because it's like, how can I dedicate 30 to an hour of my day knowing that my day is already chaotic? You don't have to. All you need is like 5 minutes.
It's so crazy how you feel though when your body does go into stillness.
Yes.
It feels orgasmic.
Yes,
Like it actually, like you can
amazing.
actually feel the tingles all over your body when your body starts to relax and your mind becomes present.
Yes.
It's so crazy. That's how people end up working up to that 30 minutes, that hour, and things
Right.
like that. They do 5 minutes. They're like, damn, that wasn't that bad. And I know a lot of people are like, am I doing it right? We will have her come back for another episode of that. But there are benefits once you actually sit in it, you guys.
Many benefits.
Hey, you guys, just stopping by to let you guys know what's new on Patreon this month. So, first and foremost, the sex position of the day is finally back. So excited to team up with my girl Leaira to give you guys some new positions. And not just one, but anytime we do a new position, we also give you some additional transitional positions to help you to throw it all in there for it to be a little smoother. Next, we have a new episode of Boats and Hoes. Yes, this is the bonus episode of Not Just Another Sex Podcast that I shoot with just my friends. We got a chance to talk about what we released during the super blue moon and so much other stuff. Per usual, it was hilarious. Next, we have a bonus episode of Just Another Sex Podcast. Yes, that's our bonus show. Call me corny. But Just Another Sex Podcast had a guest, Vanessa's Only Club. He's a popular Atlanta podcaster who came by to talk about why women are such easy targets when it comes to being finessed. Vanessa's Only Club actually went to jail for fraud. So we wanted to hear his advice because if anybody knows how to finesse someone, it's clearly him. Lastly, I got into how I've been navigating astrology without an astrologist. So I give you guys all the tips, tools, tricks, and things that I use to keep myself in check without having an astrologist at this time, without getting lost and still getting all of the benefits. And lastly, I feel like I keep saying lastly, but really this time, I also give you guys a breakdown of how I use my tarot cards. I give you guys a great example of what happened, the way I pulled them, and how I got to the interpretation of the cards. The reason that I threw these last two in there is because understanding your intuition and healing is a lot. And you guys ask me all the time how I've been able to get to this place. So I wanted to be more vulnerable and more transparent in telling you guys what I'm doing in the moment. So that way, maybe it can help you. Don't forget, Patreon is a great way to support us, the creatives, and this show. Even if you don't want to subscribe to a monthly subscription, you can just choose the donate option, and it helps us to take care of more than you may even realize. So make sure that you click the link below because we are dropping all new bonus content on Patreon every single month. So excited to talk to you guys, and back to the show. We got to move on to the sex tip of the day.
Okay.
Yes, sex tip of the day. So sex tip of the day is because, as you guys know, my first career before production and this show was Sexual Essentials. So make sure that you check out Patreon because we have almost 300 classes, videos, workshops, guests, and so much more there. We do have some orgasmic breathing discussions there. And we're going to have Leaira on to talk about orgasmic breathing because I really want you guys to understand like what pushing the air through your body can do with a little discipline, a little control, for sure. As well as you got to give us a sex position of the day, so you got to think on it. You got to think on it. Why you look at me like that? I'm gonna stretch first.
Because I'm like, well, I got to think on it. But
she's like, oh, I'm ready.
Yes.
Say let's get me together. So today's sex tip of the day is I want to know two things. I want to know, one, what is something that people misconceive about you sexually because they like see you online? Like people probably think they're like, oh, she like this, and it's just not true, right? Mm-hmm. And then I want to know something where you like, nah, that's absolutely true. I absolutely be doing that shit in the bedroom. Like, what's one for you? I'm gonna go first, and I want you to go because I saw you look
Good.
A lot of people assume that I just have a whole bunch of sex. I don't, not at all. And something that's absolutely true, I am absolutely with the shits when it comes to them toys. Like, I'm so with
it.
Yeah, because it's amazing foreplay. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't always need to have sex. Sometimes I want to have sex with the toys, and not because I'm talking about, like, battery-operated everything or, like, like, I ain't even talking about all of that. I'm talking about just, like, I love the inquisitiveness. Like, it is, like, when you play and explore someone's body, like, in a scientific like experiment, like if I touch this, what does it do? And like that is like extended foreplay for me. So I just love toys because I really want to see the reaction. Like, you know, of all types of things, I like when someone play with toys like on me because then it's like, oh, you have a desire like with my body that is keeping you interested, like you're present with it, like, oh, you're paying attention. Like I love someone focusing on me, so I love what toys does. So those are two a misconception and Absolutely. It is what it is.
Nice. Okay.
What are your two?
Okay, so the first one was, what was the first one?
What's a misconception people have about you?
That I've gotten this, that I'm like a dome. Like,
Oh.
I'm not.
You're not? You do have a soft voice.
Listen, don't do that.
You do have a soft voice.
Like, but I would, oh my gosh. So people tend to think that I am aggressive. And
I can see why they say that.
Yes.
But also, as soon as you meet you know that's not the case.
Yes.
Not the case.
Yes.
I feel that.
I'm a little aggressive.
So.
I'm a little aggressive. But not too much. Like, I like to play more on my feminine side because I know that serves me a little. That serves me more. So I'm not really like that dominant, but I'm a little in between. But people,
are you a switch?
I'm a little in between. Sometimes I like to take shots. I'm a little in between. I'm a mixture, but I've gotten it a lot. Like, I'm just aggressive. Like, are you that person that just? I'm like, like
that's who you are in real life. Like in life, in my career, with this bag,
right,
yeah.
right. But in the bedroom, no, I'm like, give me a little mix.
Okay,
like, depending on how I'm feeling, you know what I mean. What's the second one?
The second one was something that's absolutely true. Like, people probably thinking you like, yeah, the cliche. What's one thing about you that is like, yeah, that's I do. I know, but I be wondering the way that you be popping that ass on the screen. I be like, is that how it be going down?
Absolutely true. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true.
Because I meet a lot of girls and they like can dance and stuff like that. And they be like, can you do it on the beat?
And it's like, can you put your legs behind for real? Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I thought
that's
like
flexible.
You started playing in my head. I was like,
yes. Can't put the legs behind the head.
That sounds like a good angle.
Yeah.
Good little angle. Put a little pillow on there, little scoop-de-doo.
Listen. That back flexibility and them hips flexibility. It goes a long way. Okay.
You know, that, and then like put one of them little wedges underneath your back when you toot it up that way.
Oh,
if you put your legs up, like all the way up, like back here, and then you put a nice
under the back, the lower back
pillow, yeah, put like a pillow like that, and it raise your pelvis up. Ooh. It's gonna be like I'm
gonna have to
a scoop-de-doo.
Listen. I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna have to try that. Yes. Okay.
Why your legs is back? Because you know your insides are curved.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we put that wedge underneath your back, it could change whatever position that you would do, like normally lying flat. Because you know you can put your legs back like while you flat, but like if you put that pillow up under there, why you flat like that? Kind of like at an angle, you going in. Yeah.
Yep. Noted.
Yes. All right. Noted. So that is our sex tip of the day. Please make sure that you guys, hopefully by the time that this comes out, you've already been on Patreon. You guys, she's already coming. We talked about it before this. You're going to give us some sex position of the day. Mm-hmm. You know, we also have on there that I love hip and yoni activation movements. Ooh. Because, you know, sometimes the girls, you know, they're like, how do I get that thing warmed up before anything starts? Like, you know, I love a good masturbation before sex. Yes. That definitely gets things going. Mm-hmm. But also, hip and yoni activation movements to get the blood going where you want it before sex starts. Okay. And I'm talking about like simple stretches. I'll talk to you about it. I think you would be great for something like that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. She always with the shits.
I'm with it.
It's giving Capricorn energy. All right. So before we go, we have to do a spiritual tip of the day. Okay. So the spiritual tip of the day is just like the adult tip of the day. A lot of people resist spirituality because they don't really know like what it means. Like they hear people saying like higher self and like grand rising. Now grand rising ain't my thing, but you know what I'm saying. Like a lot of the like, oh, like when you're within yourself, like you hear statements and you don't know what they mean until you get there, you know? And so it gets difficult to talk to people about it because they're like, I ain't trying to hear that because they don't know what it means. It's like talking to a doctor and it's like, can you speak to me in the terms that I know? And so this is just to give some light and to explain why someone might use or say or do or how something can be used so that way people don't have to resist what they don't know, but they could be like, oh, okay. And then now it's like a car, you know, like you see that car, you hear, oh, your friend got that car, now you see it everywhere. And so just to give people a little tidbit each time, right? So that goes from like crystals to a breathing technique to astrology or a saying, but something for like spirituality as a whole. right?
Okay.
All right. So today's spiritual tip of the day, ironically, is also brought by Moon Soul Child. She actually had a whole thread, and I liked the whole thing, so I had to pick two.
Okay.
So we did the adult tip of the day for the other one, but this one is I wouldn't heal if I didn't confront my trauma. I needed to identify my triggers and let them sit with me, cry until I couldn't breathe, see all sides to every story, take my responsibility, and grace myself with forgiveness. I needed to be uncomfortable. To feel is to heal.
I like that.
And I picked this one because the other day you and I were supposed to talk, and it's so crazy because this is I've only been able to do this a few times, and I realized how much I've changed, and I'm so proud of myself for that. But I was able to identify that I was deeply triggered, you know, and I was like, hey, I'm not here right now, sis. I said, but as soon as I'm back, I said, I'm gonna connect with you. You said no problem, and you know that. But even now, just looking at it, that's what was going on. I was very triggered, and I was like, I didn't feel okay. I did not feel safe in my body. My anxiety was, and it went from 0 to 100, which made it worse, you know. But even identifying that, I'm triggered right now. Like, I'm not disturbed. I'm not annoyed. I'm not agitated. I am triggered right now. So my nervous system is not regulated, right? And I feel in danger, you know, so noticing that. And so I did these exact things. And so when I read that, I was just like, oh my gosh. And you know that when you're healing and you're doing that shadow work and things feel uncomfortable, like, you guys, that is a part of the process. That's not the time for you to go get a drink. That's not the time for you to smoke no weed. That's not the time for you to do anything except sit with your own pain.
Yes.
Like, that is how you get through it. And that shit hurts so much, which is why they say healing ain't for the weak. That's why I have empathy for mean ass people, because damn, I know healing hurts.
Right.
I mean, do better, but I know that.
And a lot of people run from it. They don't want that accountability. They don't.
It hurts.
Because it hurts. Like, that
hurts.
word, ooh.
Like, it actually hurts your heart. It's like, it's like seeing a kid get hurt. Like, for some, whether it's your kid or not, like, you don't want to see nothing bad happen to kids. Right. And so, like, but you're that kid for you when you're triggered or you're going through that pain. And so I literally did these things. I cried until I couldn't breathe. Like, my body was just rejecting the things that I was feeling, you know, and it needed to release. I was embarrassed. I had to sit with that, embarrassed for nothing. You know, there was nothing to be embarrassed about, but it was a feeling. I had to deal with that feeling. I had to deal with the shame. I had to feel with the no better. Then I had to say, okay, what part did I play in this? What did I not notice before? And then I also had to say, well, what the fuck are we not doing after we let this shit out today? You know?
Yes.
And so, you know, and there's so much freedom that comes with that. And sometimes there's a lot of opportunities that open up right after that. Like, sometimes you have to feel those pain and those triggers because there is something that is meant for you that can't find you because you're holding on to a belief that's not real. Yes. And so your purpose don't even recognize that it's you. Yes. For me, the other day, I was blaming myself I realized that I had been blaming myself for something that I was a victim in for years. And I didn't realize it until the other day. It was like, yes, you play a part in certain things, but also you realize you have a victim stance in some of this, right? Like, and because we're so strong, or because we're always trying to, you know, oh, it's my job to keep everybody safe and things like that, you internalize these things. And so for me, I realized I needed to understand that something was not my fault and that actually this other person owes you an apology as well. Yes. You know, after realizing that, the next day I got calls and opportunities that I would not have taken because the guilty me would have thought that this isn't the best option for me.
Listen, you said a mouthful. I was just having this conversation. We're so embedded and so engulfed in trauma that we don't see that there is something on the outside of that. There is sunshine. And I think that's where your spirituality comes into play. Yeah. Like, doing the work. You got to do the work. Past the physical body.
Yes, like, past your actual body.
Past the emotional body.
I think that's where discipline, where the discipline comes in, and the trust and the faith. And a lot of people say faith and they throw it around, but faith is literally believing in things that you cannot see, that you cannot explain, but understanding that your intuition is valid. Yes. Your intuition is valid. Yes. And anything, if you don't feel happiness, that is a sign to keep figuring this thing out.
Right.
And sometimes that takes longer than others, but we get tired. These physical bodies, they get tired. And because of that, that's why we're committing, and outside of like mental health, but like mental health, like as a whole, but just like we're committing suicide at large numbers, or, you know, like literally living in depressed states and not doing what's meant for us. It's because like your physical body is tired. And so doing things like yoga, taking the time to connect with your sensuality, learning to breathe.
Yes.
Those are things that just put a little bit back in your tank. So when you feel like when I felt like the other day when I was like breaking down, all I could do was take my like 20 breaths in and 20 breaths out. That's all I could do.
Yes.
But doing that gave me like 2%.
Right.
It's like, you know how you about to go, but you go in somebody's house and you got to use the bathroom. You got a charger though, because my phone is about to die.
Right.
It might have been about to die, but like you plugged it up and now you got 5%. You're not in there for that long, but it's enough to get you to where you need to go.
And your best differs. And I always say like, in that moment, you gave it your best. In that moment, your best was that percentage. But in that moment, you gave it your best when you probably didn't think that you were capable of giving it that much.
Yeah, and it's enough.
I'm proud of you,
goes back. It goes right back to you're enough.
Yes,
everything that you're able to give is enough. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And you know, when we talked about like what are some of the things you recognize in people that tell you that they're in a good place, a healed place, that they breathe, that they meditate, how people respond to my boundaries is always a clear sign to me. You know what I mean? Like we were supposed to talk. That was your time, you know? And me not being able to talk at that moment, it was met with empathy. Like I totally understand. Like, you know, is there something that you need? Nope. Okay. Well, whenever you're ready, just call me. Okay. And there you go. And so like, recognize that, you guys. People that do that for you, those are the people that you gravitate to. Those are the good feelings. And when you're going through something and you end up feeling guilty on the other end from other people, watch out for that. Okay. That's not the best. But thank you so much for coming today, for you know, sharing this space with me and being a safe space and bringing your amazing energy. I'm always so overwhelmed with gratitude, because it's so many women like you that I've been watching on the internet do their thing for years. And it's just so full circle to be able to bring you guys on one by one and give you your flowers and let the world know that, hey, this show is about the tools and the things that I needed, that I didn't know I needed, that I used, that I saw, that I curated my timelines with. And, you know, during COVID, so much solitude, you know, and so much good stuff was found. A lot of people found you during COVID, your online classes, and, you know, not even being able to make it, but they were able to join a tour stop. And so bringing you guys on one by one and giving you your flowers is very important to me, because you guys, this is one of the people that I'm telling you that if you're trying to change your life, you should follow and tap in with her. I don't know everything or everybody, but I do want to share the resources that I know. And you taking a chance on you also keeps a Black-owned woman business going. Just you doing something one time and giving yourself the chance to just enjoy that. So before you go, please make sure that you let everybody know where they can find you, how we can support you, and then we'll drop all your links below. And be very clear, this does everything, okay? There is
not everything.
Everything, okay? She teach you how to coochie pie. She got lingerie. There are workout set. I have to get a workout set from you.
I got you.
But all the things. But please tell the folks where they can find you. How
First of all, I want to say thank you, Samaya, for holding space. Like, you took a chance on you, and you are doing it. So I am extremely proud of you. And I know we just like connected on a deeper level this year, but everything in alignment. Everything in alignment.
Absolutely.
So I'm so honored to have met you, and thank you for all that you do, and thank you for having me on this platform, girl. Keep doing your thing. Keep doing your big one.
Do it.
And yes, so you all can follow me or find me at Leaira Wellness, Twerk Tabata, Leaira Studios across all platforms. That is YouTube, that is TikTok, that is Facebook, and of course, Instagram. And you can follow my website or check in or tap into my website, Leaira.com. And yeah, we have a studio located right in Mableton, Georgia, which is the outer city or the outer parts of Atlanta. But baby, don't get it twisted. We still A-town down. So yes, we are in the Atlanta metro area in Mableton, Georgia, called Leaira Studios. And I don't even want to say it's a hidden gem, but like if you don't know about it, you need to know about it, okay? We have the #1 holistic fitness studio in Atlanta or Atlanta metro area, and I'm super duper proud of it. National television recognition and everything. I'm proud of her. She's doing big things. So make sure y'all stay tapped in. And thank you all. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. Please make sure that you check out the Patreon. As you guys know, we have rebranded. We have revamped. As you guys have asked, every single class that we have done before is getting an update, meaning we are going back to those topics and we're hitting them from this space.
Yes.
You know, I did a lot of those teachings 2-3 years ago, and you guys are always telling me that you have changed so much, and I agree. And so now we finally have the capacity. We have a special set all for sexual essentials content and conversations. So make sure that you tap in over there, because we have a bonus show called Just Another Sex Podcast. You get that? It's some witty bitch shit. Yes. Just Another Sex Podcast over there, and every single topic is intimate, and we brought the sex positions of the day back. It's been a time over there. It's been a time over there, so I'm really excited. So please make sure that you guys tap in. Supporting that supports me and creates this show. So I love you guys. Make sure that you rate, review, follow our guests, and I will see you next week. Yes. Thank you.